meeting to order.
I've seen that many.
And let me ask if there were any corrections or additions to the agenda.
Not necessarily.
If there are no objections, then the agenda is adopted. Let me recognize Skip to introduce our two guests.
Okay, so we actually have our branch manager here, Kate Marie Klein is here. And Kate, I think you've talked to the trustees in recent weeks or months or something? Has it been a year?
I think.
All right,
Yeah.
since we've got some new trustees, in just a second, I think we would like you to just say a few words and everything. From the Staff Association, we have Laura Kelman from Severna Park Library and Sarah Bates from Bush Annapolis Library. So welcome, it's good to have you here. Did you want to say a few words?
Sure.
Yeah, because there's probably some new trustees here who you haven't met.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome or welcome back. My name's Kate Marie Klein. I'm the manager here at Ithacum. I've been here about 2.5 years and with the system for going on 12. It's a lovely little community branch. If you get a chance to walk around, please do. We're leaning towards a younger community now, so we have a lot of young families. We're having a blast with the Kindergarten Readiness Initiative. Tons of babies and toddlers that we hope we can keep forever. And we get out to the community as well. There's things for all ages that we try to get going, and this year our big project is reimagining our public area into one desk, like a lot of branches have. So maybe next time you're here, it'll look completely different, who knows? But that's what I'm working on right now. So welcome, take a look around and enjoy your meeting.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any questions for her? Okay.
So we have Rachel Myers, the manager of Discoveries Library, to talk about the community pantry. And maybe you all can be thinking of ways you might be able to donate something to the pantry.
Thank you. I'm just going to take 1 minute, and I'm standing up here so that everybody on the screen can see. Donna did include in the packets a flyer for the community pantry, so you can take a look at that. But I'm here just to give an update about our community pantry at Discoveries. As you might remember, the pantry is open now the first Saturday of the month from 10 to noon and the first Tuesday evening of the month from 6 to 7. And we distribute diapers, wipes, hygiene supplies like shampoo and toothbrushes, as well as menstrual products to help combat the diaper and period poverty in our area. Last year, we distributed over 85,000 diapers to 2,201 families, 60% of which are Spanish speaking. So it's been a great outreach to a population that we really want to use the library more and a way to introduce them to library resources. The last 3 months of distribution, so December, January, and February, have really been our largest quarter ever in distribution. In those 3 months, we've distributed 1,591 packs of diapers, which is about 32,000 diapers in the last 3 months. And those have gone out to families from 35 different zip codes. So we're not just serving Annapolis, but all of Anne Arundel County plus all in surrounding counties as well. And last year, we gave out also 1,634 packs of pads, tampons, and incontinence supplies. So this is not just for kids, but it's also helping adults in our community. So everything is primarily donation supported. We are just coming to the end of the $500 county grant from the American Rescue Plan Act. So as you know, a lot of that money, it's all running out for all these different projects. So we've also been lucky to work with a lot of different organizations, large and small, to help the shelves remain stocked. The Library Foundation has been a great support, facilitating monetary donations via the library website, like other donations to the foundation, and also using some events to collect supplies. Junior League of Annapolis, Westfield, Annapolis Mall, local Chick-fil-A's, a number of churches, and other groups have also done drives and supported the pantry in other ways. So we also maintain an Amazon and Target wish list so that items can be sent directly to the branch as well. But now we've also expanded collection to all of the library locations, so people can drop off supplies at any branch, not just at Discoveries. At our monthly distribution days, we also host community partners so that we can present their resources also to the families. So we've had the Maryland Food Bank helping people sign up for SNAP benefits, the county school system helping families learn about the pre-kindergarten opportunities available to them and also how to sign up for kindergarten. We've also had free immigration lawyer consultations, and we've just find new ways every month to add value to the pantry distribution days so that customers can come and find a number of different resources, not just what we are distributing, but other community resources. So this is a really important part of our library service. Because we're able to ease these burdens for the families and help them hopefully refocus some of that energy that they've spent trying to find diapers or menstrual products on things like getting their children ready for school. And they're also more apt to engage with library resources when they have to come to the branch for these other things. So, my Spanish-speaking staff, really do a great job, especially engaging the Spanish-speaking families coming to the pantry and help them learn about the World Language Collection program opportunities like Bilingual Storytime or the Conversation Club. And we also have taken the opportunity also to spread the word about things like the Chromebook giveaways. So those all just tie into all the different things we're doing as a library. So I appreciate the time to give you this update about the pantry today. As our pool of money is running out, we are always looking for additional ways to support our families. And as is obvious by the numbers, the need has not decreased as we've moved away from the pandemic. It actually has grown because there's all these other pressures on families. So I appreciate your continued support of this mission of my branch. So thanks for your time.
Is there a cash app for just your library?
And you got an Amazon store too.
We do have the Amazon wish list. If you
Okay.
donate through the Library Foundation too,
Okay.
you can designate
Got
the
it.
funds. That's one of the
Got it.
drop-down options for the community pantry. So, and like Faith said, the Amazon and Target wish lists are on the library website, and that stuff then can just get sent directly to Discoveries. So it kind of takes the middleman out and makes it a little easier.
Did you have something, Jenny Lynn?
Oh, no, I'm just gonna give her money.
Anybody who wants to give money, feel
I'm
free.
just gonna give her money in case
Yeah.
anybody else wants to give her money. I'm just gonna.
I just ordered some right now, it was real quick.
Thank you. So, thank you as always.
So before you leave, could you
Yes.
give us a little update on the expansion plans at Discoveries?
Sure, I guess I can give an update. We are very, very close. I'm looking at Skip and Rudy.
Yeah, we're very close.
Agreeing on the negotiations for the new lease, which will allow us then to start the process to add this additional space that I talked to you about the last time you all were at Discoveries. So we hope that by the end of the year, that will be complete and we will have a new programming space and all of the other enhancements that we hope to add with the ability to add that space.
That's good.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Rachel. And I
thanks for
think
asking
Rudy
about
may
that.
may address it as well during his report. No? She did it, okay, good. Thanks, Rachel.
Yes, yeah, I'll read that, thanks.
Rachel, could you just pull the door closed so we don't disturb everybody out there? Thank you. So let me ask if there are any corrections to the minutes, January 18th meeting. No, then Without objection, the minutes are approved. There are members of the public, and we welcome you to this meeting. We do have an opportunity for public comment, although we limit those to 3 minutes apiece. Is there anyone here who wishes to give public comment? Okay, then that item on the agenda is closed. And the next one is the consent agenda. Are there any objections to any items on the agenda? Now, hearing an objection only means that we would remove it from the consent agenda and bring it into another spot on the regular agenda to discuss it if there are questions or any concerns.
I don't have an objection, but I would like to clarify a little bit about the MOU.
Okay?
So the MOU was brought to the foundation probably, I think they reviewed it last fall, and they said, yeah, it's good. And it took us a lot of time to go through the committee, so it's only now that we're asking the board to agree that it's good the way that we have it. But assuming that you do say that, make that vote as part of this consent agenda, then next month, it's going to come back to the committees, to governance as well as finance, both of them at the same time, in order to consider adding a statement that would make it not an annual review, but a multi-year review. In other words, we're going to let the committees make a decision on should it be every 2 years, every 5 years. Let the committees kind of talk through that and come with a recommendation to the May board meeting for that change. And then if that is adopted at the May board meeting, it can go to the foundation board at their May 29th meeting. So that way we'd have that in place, and then the next time you review might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, depending on what the two boards agree to. So I just wanted to clarify that, but not take it off the consent agenda.
Skip,
Yes.
when the committees decide on how often we'll review, will we have data from what's been used and how it worked? And,
Well,
I mean, I
think-
don't see how we can make that decision. I would think that we would make not a temporary, but a trial.
So this year has been a trial. We have had this in place for a full year, according to
Just about 2 years.
almost 2 years.
Okay.
According to the committees that reviewed it, they feel like everything is working well. The only thing that seems to not be working well is this requirement for an annual review.
We'll have an opportunity to discuss that in May. But let me ask again, are there any objections to the consent agenda?
Nope.
Hearing none, then I move that all items on the consent agenda be approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained. Okay. Consent items are all approved, and we'll now move to reports. I have a few comments first, and certainly a warm welcome to all of you to our meeting here. I'm finding it energizing to have the meetings move around among all the libraries. I know that it makes it difficult for some and a lot easier for others, but it's good to see the people in place using the libraries. And I haven't hit them all yet, but that's coming. And of course, we're going to have an opportunity at our next meeting to see the new Riviera Beach Library. So that's, you should have received a notice to that effect. Instead of the Savannah Park meeting, it'll be Riviera Beach. Before that, there'll be an opportunity, there'll be an opening, and I guess we'll hear from our foundation representatives about further activities out at that library, but we'll have an opportunity to be out there 2, 3, 4 times
Yes, for
in the
sure.
next couple of months,
Yeah.
since we've been ignoring them for this long period of this new construction. I had an opportunity to meet with Skip and Cedric and others of our executive leadership team with the county executive, with Mr. Pittman, and with his staff, looking over the budget. And Skip gave a good presentation. We'll hear more from the Finance Committee and from Skip about the items in that agenda, but the preliminary budget that's been recommended to the county executive does contain considerable progress toward meeting our goals of equity and adjustments for salaries for staff. There's still many things that we want to have funded that are not, but that was the principal item, and that one, we're coming a good ways toward it. And I'll leave the description of those things to Skip and Cedric and Kathy Belcher. The third item that I wanted to speak to was legislation. Again, Skip will speak more to this, but there was a bill for enabling legislation that's moved from, in the crossover, which is just this week, has moved from the House to the Senate. It seems to be on a very fast track, and it will likely pass. It would seem so. I haven't heard of any impediments to its progress, but it's not without some concern from MAPLA and library leadership, because it does at this point still contain a provision that the union must be recognized if it has more than 50% of the cards signed by employees that they wish to have that union represent them, which would mean no election. And so that, I don't know whether that is going to be in the final provision, but I thought you ought to be aware that it's moving along fast and that provision is in there. Election would be held if the cards amount to 30% or more, but less than the full 50%. I think I should move on to Kathy Belcher for the Treasurer's Report.
On March 14th, the executive leadership team met with the county executive and his budget team to review our operating and supplemental requests for fiscal year 25. We highlighted the importance of implementing market rate adjustments for our staff and adding 2 collections positions to assist in handling the expanding library of books and materials. The county executive is scheduled to present the budget to the county council on May 1st. For the February 2023 financial report, we are expected to receive and expend approximately 67% of our budgeted revenues and expenditures, respectively. To date, we have received 67% of total revenues with no major variances noted. Also, we have spent 64% of the budgeted expenditures for fiscal year 2024. The total expenditure projections are expected to be slightly below budget at year end due to the personnel services line item. No other major variances are noted at this time. Any questions?
No, that's good, Kathy. Thank you very much. Skip.
Okay, so I will speak to a couple of things to start with, and then I'll turn it over to members of my staff, and I'll just, I must admit, we've all been running like chickens with our heads cut off the last few weeks, so I didn't even have time to say, do you have a report? Do you have a, so I'm just gonna look at you, and if you don't, you can shake your head and everything. All right, so what I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One, we have been working with the health department. We had a press conference a couple of weeks ago to put health on the go machines at 2 of our libraries, Brooklyn Park and Deal. Health on the go machines have Narcan to help with if somebody has an overdose. They have fentanyl strips for people to be able to test to see if the drugs that they are taking have fentanyl in them. They allow a family member to pick this up if they have a concern about one of their family members who maybe is addicted, and they're trying to make sure they don't get into that danger zone. It'll have COVID test kits and masks, and I think a couple of other things. But I think it was important to let you know that. It's a trial, but it also is kind of an expansion of the partnership that we've had over the last, especially the last few years with the health department. Before I go on, are there any questions about that?
Skip, do
Yes.
all of our branches have at least Narcan
They have Narcan that staff have, and staff have been trained
trained?
to use it. I know of the one time at Glen Burnie, which I think was the first time that we actually used it and it did save someone's life. I believe we may have had a couple of other times where we've used it, yeah. But these are out there in a vending machine, so people could kind of come up more or less anonymously. They are also, these machines are in the view of staff, so they can see if somebody's being sort of like a vandal toward the machine or something like that. But it allows them to just, you know how you go and you get your nabs or your potato chips. Yeah, you can hit C1 and boom, you got it. So it just dispenses it. There's no cost. There's no cost for it. So
That's
If you want
great.
to say why the locations were picked.
yes, thank you. Actually, Christine, you were part of working with them, I think, on the publicity on this. Why don't you speak to that?
Sure. So the health department got a grant for, I believe, 6 machines. There's some at one at the Eastport Community Center, the 2 detention centers, possibly the Severn Center, I can't remember the other location, and then our 2 libraries. They were selected based on data for overdose rates in the county.
And because you mentioned that, I just want to say about the Deal Library, which, if you think about our county and you think of it geographically, we have all of the fairly densely populated part of the county, essentially from Central Avenue, Route 214 and Davisville and Edgewater and everything. Going north from there, it's more urbanized and suburbanized. But going south from there, it's pretty rural and sparsely populated. We have social workers at the Deal Library and several other libraries, but the Deal Library is the one that has the most business for social workers. People are coming from Wason's Corner, they're coming from Lothian, Harwood, all these different places. It's easier for them to get to Deal. It's a very kind of user-friendly sort of library, and sometimes it's harder for people to get up to Edgewater, where we also have social workers. So I just thought that was another interesting fact about Deal. So,
And we'll get a chance to visit the Deal Library, I think in September
okay.
next year.
Yeah, so we'll be going the other direction. So all of you who live in the northern part, plan for some extra time, like I apparently did not, getting here a little bit late. Okay, a couple of other things. We talked about Library Workers Empowerment Act. I want to speak a little bit more about that. I did send an email to all of you, one that I forwarded what I had sent to the Senate Finance Committee, and I copied the entire Anne Arundel delegation of senators and delegates. And what we have been trying to get is 3 different things. I mean, there's a bunch of different amendments that are in the bill that we requested. It really does look like they're not going to pass any of those. They're just going to take the bill that the House had sent over, and they're going to pass that bill. So those amendments won't pass. It's fine. We had hoped to be able to get there. We are very likely to have a union, or by July, August, September, somewhere in here, and that's fine. Christine and I met kind of soon after that November board meeting where we had a request to recognize the union. And when we met with them, our first comments were that we have pretty much the exact same thing in mind, which is the welfare and well-being of our staff. We've always said our staff are our most important resource. And so if our staff want to have a union, that's what they should have, and we'll work with them. So I'm hoping that we can find good ways to work in a positive, productive partnership with the AFSCME Council 3 union, assuming that it does come through. It just appears that is going to be the way it works. So wanted to mention that. Also had an all-staff meeting yesterday where I talked about this. As of yesterday morning, it wasn't as clear that the House bill was the one that was going to be. It appeared that there was a potential that some of these amendments might be considered. But later yesterday, we learned that that's probably not likely to happen. But are there any questions from anyone? So I want to talk also about the Freedom to Read Act. That is a historic moment in Maryland history and frankly in the history of our nation. It is, in my entire career, we've been fighting people who want to ban books or challenge books. And it was all on a very mild, low bubble for decades. The Library Bill of Rights was created I think it was in the 1950s when the McCarthy era was around. And it's, but all over the years, it's been, we've had challenges. I can remember when I was a branch manager in Carroll County, we had numerous challenges. We had somebody who was the treasurer for a county commissioner who he was kind of feeling the power of having been in that campaign. He wanted us, because he had been successful with the grocery stores, getting them to put brown wrappers over Cosmopolitan magazine. They wanted us to do the same thing, and that was a huge fight. It was kind of ridiculous, but it was huge. Now the low bubble has just gone crazy. It is a high bubble if you think of turning on your stove and leaving it on high and the water bubbling and bubbling. So Dana Jones, the delegate from Annapolis, I believe it was her college roommate who is like chief of staff for the governor of Illinois. That person contacted her and said, Dana, this is right up your alley. And she just took it and ran with it and got the Speaker of the House, the Senate President, everybody on board. And it has passed both of the houses. So it's a great day. It's a great day for Maryland. A colleague of mine that I know in New Jersey was telling me just yesterday or the day before that they had been working so hard to try to get a similar Freedom to Read Act in place, and they couldn't get it done. They just, this session, it's not happening.
So could you tell us what the content is of the Freedom to Read Act?
I kind of made that assumption, but yes. Basically, what it does is it requires the state librarian to set standards that need to be followed by all libraries, whether it's school or public libraries in the state. And the standards basically are to do what most of us are already doing. I think every public library in the state is doing this, and that is to have a collection development policy, to have a process for challenging books, to have a system for review of those challenges, and so essentially to do what we're doing. If you look at our collection development policy, essentially it says everybody needs to have this, whether you're in a school or a public library. The place that has caused kind of the most controversy and shown the real necessity of it this year is the Carroll County school system, which instead of going through the process, they got all these challenges, and they were primarily orchestrated by this group called Moms for Liberty. And they basically did massive challenges. I think there were something like 60 books that just got pulled from the shelves of all the libraries throughout the school system. And keep in mind, these are books that have had they've had a professional review. They've been put into the libraries of those school systems in an age-appropriate way so that the books for the elementary schools are not the ones that are more appropriate for the high school or the middle school. But their superintendent of schools, I believe, just pulled those books out, and then they went through a review, and they still essentially banned those books. And so this will just require all school systems and libraries to follow that process. There are penalties to public libraries if a public library does it. That's basically never going to be invoked. It's similar to public libraries have to sign a statement every year that we adhere to the Children's Internet Protection Act, which basically we're saying we have filters in place that essentially, the main thing they do is to keep pornography from popping up on computers around the libraries. So we sign that statement every year. If we didn't, and if we didn't do that and we were out of compliance, then the state librarian could withhold our state funding. That's the same penalty, I believe it's the exact same, that would happen if they didn't put this policy in place. There is no comparable penalty in the school system, and that was intentional because it just got all entangled in messiness to try to figure out a way to have sort of the stick approach to the school system. So there is the carrot, meaning, you know, if you don't follow it, you can essentially be called out by the state librarian. Okay. Couple of other things. I want to mention and some of these will be mentioned by Kathleen, but if you turn to your page 2 of your agenda, first week of April is Library Giving Week, so give generously as your wallets can afford. Just think of that, just like Lonnie just gave money to the pantry, you know.
And set up a recurring shipment too of stuff. Just
Oh, there you
that.
go. Oh, wow. So that's
So you
awesome.
don't have to think about it.
So the other thing is the second week of April is National Library Week, but most importantly, every Tuesday of National Library Week is National Library Workers Day. So keep that in mind. That might be a good day to visit your library that I think, Tim, you're the one that's done the assignments. So that might be a good day to visit and take them some goodies or something like that. We'll do what we can to show appreciation. And I think that was it for that. Let's see. One other thing I want to mention is related to the what Kathy talked about in the treasurer's report, and Cedric's going to talk a little bit about this too, but the market adjustments, we've been hounding the county executive for almost 3 years now about this, and I think that Cedric and Chris can attest that I pretty much was begging the county executive to get us the whole way there this year. What we needed was $1.4 million, and what Cedric has worked out with the county budget analyst, Stephen Theroux, is that the COLA will get us a good bit of the way there. We don't know what percentage they're planning for a cost of living adjustment, but the COLA will get us partway there. And then we need overall $1.4 million, but the rest of the appropriation that the county executive is considering will just get us really close. So we said, just get us the whole way. You don't want to have us coming out again to every town hall next year bugging you about this. Let's get it done this year. So I just wanted to mention that. And then we also have requested 11 positions overall. The budget office is recommending 2 of them at Discoveries, but not, our highest priority positions are 2 positions in collection development, because we've been, and we explained this, that we have been getting more and more money for materials the past several years. It was like $3 million, and it went up during the Hsu administration, $250,000 a year. Right now, we're at, I think it's $4.5 million, but we maybe had 1 additional staff, but we really need these other 2. So we really pushed hard on that. And that's my report. So now I'm going to look to Cedric to make the rest of your report, and then I'll again look to everybody else. I know Christine is a yes on having some things she wanted to bring up.
Yeah. Well, Chris, Skip, you said it pretty correctly. Where we're at now, and again, this is just preliminary, it's very preliminary. We still have a long process to go. But we're about 76% of the difference between what we need to be now in terms of funding for the market rate adjustment. And as Chris and Skip said, Skip reiterated it, very forceful, and he made it very plain that this is what we're looking for. So overall, I mean, it looks good for now. I've been in talks with Steven, who is our budget analyst, and at this point, you know, he's been pretty non-committal, but he said that they're going back to the drawing board with the county executive, and they're still talking it through. So we're very hopeful that we can close that gap, very small gap. Roughly in salary amounts, we're talking about $200,000. So hopefully we can get that funded. Overall, as you remember, we had supplemental requests of about $3 million. They have preliminarily, you know, agreed to about $1.2 million now. And again, the bulk of that is the market rate adjustments. But another huge portion of that, as Skip mentioned, are for the expansion of discoveries. And that entails 2 positions, and it also entails the increase in the rental cost that we will have. Now, another piece to that expansion is going to be the build-out costs. So we don't know exactly what that number is going to be, build-out costs and furniture and equipment and stuff like that. So we don't know exactly what that number is, but we will be able to fund that through our fund balance that we have with the county now. So we have roughly a fund balance of about $750,000. Obviously, we won't need that much to build out, so we haven't come up with those numbers yet. Stephen is looking for that from us, working with Rudy to try to get those numbers, but we have to have those numbers to him by the beginning of May, so late April. So it looks like all of that is going to be funded through fund balance, but overall, it's looking pretty good. Again, we're still negotiating, and we still have a process, even if the total amount doesn't pass through the county executive office, then obviously we have time with the county council. So we have to reach out. We will have a meeting with the county council where we will be reiterating the same things that we talked about before. So we will have, you know, a couple different opportunities.
And last year, the county council was very receptive
Exactly.
to our plea. And didn't they add another $500,000?
Yes, they
Yeah,
did. Yes.
specifically to the
Specifically
market
to
rate
our market
adjustments.
rate, exactly. So again,
we'll
we
have
have
another shot.
Yes, so, you know, we have several opportunities, and we're just gonna be pushing, but we feel pretty good about it. We feel pretty good about it going forward. That's all.
Questions for Cedric? So Kathleen, I think I want to come to you next, and then I'll come to Rudy and Christine, and I think Coven, you're okay, you didn't have anything else to add. So Kathleen.
I am going to defer my report to Ashani and Demita because they have all the details. And then maybe I could make a comment afterwards. And Christine will be saying some of the things that I might need to respond to. So,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Shani, do you?
I do. I will say thank you, Lonnie, for mentioning the recurring gift. Excellent idea. You can do that online just as a regular donation, and doing it with diapers is even better. So thank you.
All right, so I'll do the report from the Library Foundation Board. So at our March meeting, we updated we approved the updated investment policy. We also approved additional funding up to $18,000 for the Bush Annapolis Library children's area for musical instruments and bench. This brings the total of special project funding to $96,000 for items not covered in the library budget. And then we also approved funding to send Foundation Board members to the International Public Library Fundraising Conference to be held in Washington, D.C. in June. I did want to mention an upcoming fundraising event related to the grand opening of the Rivera Beach branch, Bay Breezes and Books. Is taking place on Sunday, April 28th from 3 to 5. The celebration will include food, drinks, Taste of the Bay, and Oyster Boys. The tickets go on sale tomorrow, $75, and we're hoping that all trustees can attend this celebration. And then lastly, I just wanted to reiterate that Library Giving Week is coming up April 1st through 5th. So over the last 3 years, we've raised over $100,000 in community donations to support Summer at Your Library and other literacy programs. So if you're able to participate this year, of course, we would love all trustees to participate in giving during that day or during.
Anything further for Ishani to report?
She's
No?
covered it.
Questions for either of them?
If I could just add one thing, on Library Giving Week, please be sure, I'll be sending out information about how to share Library Giving Week with your friends and your neighbors. So please be sure to share all that information. It'll be in a cut and paste form, so that you can cut and paste it into and put it into your own email or your own words. But the more that you could spread the word, then the better, the more successful it will be. But you really, you advocate for the library all the time, and from a foundation donation process, we'd like to make it a little easier. So if you'd be so kind as to help us do that, I'd really appreciate it. There'll also be a lot on Facebook. So if you follow us on, if you follow the library on Facebook, share it on Facebook, put it on LinkedIn. I mean, really spread the word. And Demita's nodding her head because I know she works in marketing, but I'm sure Christine is nodding her head too. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And speaking of the good volunteer work of both the members of the Board of Trustees and the Foundation Board, I want to thank you, those of you who have spoken at public hearings around the county. That's obviously getting through. County executive commented on it, and especially that we had more people at some of these hearings than even the school board. So that was good for the library. Thank you.
Okay, I did want to mention, I just heard yesterday about the Oyster Boys, and one of my good friends is one of the people in the Oyster Boys, so you don't want to miss it. They're great. Okay. Rudy?
So just really quick, one of the things that's been kind of under the radar, if you attended our GSM last year, you heard the news that we were migrating to a new library management system. I'm happy to report that migration process has been a lot of work by a lot of people, but it's going fairly smoothly. And we are now 17 days, 16 hours and 13 minutes away from go live. It's the functional equivalent of replacing the engines on an airplane in flight. So there's a bit of risk in there, but I think we are going to be positioned for a good, smooth turnover on Monday, April the 8th.
Good. Thank you.
And what's happening with the catalog that weekend?
So we will announce it. It will be on the website. The library will be closed that weekend. The catalog will be offline, so you won't be able to look at the catalog or select books during that weekend. It's a minor outage. We apologize for it, but there is no other way for us to do that. But that will be a quick turnover over a weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for Rudy?
If I'm remembering correctly, I think maybe Skip, you said this, that as far as the user interface goes, it'll be a seamless transition.
That would be a Rudy question,
Okay.
yeah.
The customers should see very little change. There'll be some changes, but very slight, very subtle on the customer side. On the staff side, it's totally new. It's a 21st century interface. The feedback that I've gotten, and I'm looking to the staff to let me know, it has been very positive. They're very happy about it, so we're looking forward to it.
Christine?
Okay, I'm gonna move over here because I have show and tell.
First of all, you all should have received an invitation to the ribbon cutting for the grand opening, April 25th at 11 o'clock. There'll be a reception starting at 10:30. Please RSVP so we know how many people we're gonna have. So that's a great, exciting event. We will also have, besides the wonderful foundation event, there will be giveaways for the community Friday and Saturday. So if you want to get a tote bag, come Friday. If you want to get a magnet, come Saturday, or tell all your friends. And then obviously we'll have the foundation event. So that's really exciting. And you'll be seeing a lot of promotion about the library as we re-engage with that community that we are eager to serve.
And there will be public officials there that we get an opportunity to thank for all the work they
Absolutely.
did in providing the funding for this building.
yes, we'll be saying a lot of thank yous. Additionally, you all saw the merchandise that we're now offering, the Literacy and Justice for All. It is still available for purchase on our bonfire site. Let me know if you need that link, and it's in other colors, but you do have to pay for that. The free t-shirt is one thing, but this is a little different. Another opportunity, and I'm gonna just show, I sent it to you all this morning. We had a local artist who created a Italian silk scarf to celebrate banned books and the library protecting your freedom to read. It is a 30 by 30. It's available for purchase along with a print of said scarf. And I sent you all a link to that, and it will benefit the library. So feel free to take advantage of that opportunity as well. It's limited edition, so I can't promote it far and wide, but I will share it and share it with staff as well as all of you.
I just tried to buy one, and I couldn't get it to
Try to buy
finish.
one?
No, I couldn't get it to finish the.
Might be the Wi-Fi, but I'll help you if you have any trouble. So any questions? Okay, thank you.
So to wrap up our reports, I just want to say thank you to all of you who advocated, whether it was by appearing at a budget town hall or by talking to elected officials, talking to your council member. I'd also like to say that for all of our staff, because we had a lot of staff and managers who spoke at these hearings, and it's I think it's been a really valuable thing. At the meeting we had with Mr. Pittman, I said something about the budget town halls, and Christine Anderson is the chief administrative officer, and she looked at me and she said, "You all were at the budget town halls?" Like, yes, she knew we were at the budget town halls because she saw us out in force. So that's our reporting.
Good, thank you. Now reports from the standing committees. Kathy for Finance and Audit Committee?
The main thing we discussed at our last meeting was the name of the new Millersville Library. And we came up with the name, the Millersville Veterans Memorial Library. And we've passed that suggestion on to the Governance and Strategy and Organizations Committee to see if they like that name. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right, how about, is somebody here for Jim? Where's Jim?
Jim had jury duty today, and
Right.
so he was gonna try to get here, but he obviously wasn't able to break away.
So can anyone give a report, whether from staff or from committee members?
Update on the, I think we set a record for the shortest committee meeting, which was great, and I ran it, so I was moving it along. No, really, we really only had two key things which were in the consent agenda regarding up here. Oh, the change to the staff card policy, which we approved, and then we got an update from Christine on the procedure for recruiting a new student board member, and that's moving along.
Tim, you're gonna have to speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm old.
Yeah, so the latest thing was just getting an update on the process for recruiting a student board member. Christine updated us, and we are moving ahead with that, and we will be having the interviews starting the next few weeks with a vote in May, so that's good.
So the number of people under consideration now is?
We had 11, if I may, we had 11 applicants, some returning from last year who were very excited to, reapply. Great pool of candidates. We'll meet on Monday to decide who we're going to interview. Can't believe it's time for Linda to leave.
Good.
So the other, was it your committee that reviewed the weather-related leave policy?
No, that was mine.
Oh, okay.
So anything further for Tim? Questions from others? Then Sandra, Human Resources and Diversity Committee.
Our committee reviewed the weather-related leave policy. Colvin reviewed the weather-related policy with the HR and Diversity Committee. The policy will allow an hourly staff member to receive weather-related leave when the library opens late, closes early, or is closed the entire day. An hourly staff member is scheduled to work due to inclement weather. And the committee unanimously approved this policy change.
Any questions for?
I guess I would like, Coben, can you talk to why we felt that was an important policy to put forward?
It was something that was brought to my attention. I thought it was good for the hourly staff to take advantage of. There's no budgetary impact because they're already scheduled to work. But this will allow them to basically be paid when, just like the career staff is, whenever they're scheduled to work, but there's inclement weather.
We don't have a lot of weather events that close us down, but it did have a pretty adverse impact on our part-time hourly staff. So, and that applies to pages also.
Correct.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you.
Let me ask if there's any further business before the board. Then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
All in favor? Thank you.
I think you just set a new record.
This is just the board. I don't